Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity. So I'll be speaking on the collagen cross-linking, especially focus on keratoconus. No, it is a chronic progressive corneal disease characterized by progressive stromal thinning and corneal ectasia, astigmatism and visual impairment. Starts around 14-15 year and progresses up to mid-30s. Progression is seen in 25 to 30% of patients. So till 2003, we did not have any procedure to stop the progression. So collagen cross-linking is a standard, minimally invasive, safe treatment for progressive keratoconus. It is started by Wollensak. Aim of this process is to slow or possibly stop the progression to avoid the need for keratoplasty. It has significantly altered the management of keratoconus once it started. So this basically was on 250 to 300 micrometer of the micron of the anterior stroma, and riboflavin acts as a photosensitizer, and when it works with riboflavin and ultraviolet ray, free oxygen radical is produced, and which links cross-link formation by natural lysyl oxidase. So anybody who has seen collagen cross-linking papers in the initial days, they will see definitely this picture, which is the above one is cross-linked cornea. And you can see after collagen cross-linking, there are multiple bonds which is increased. If you see histopathology, there is significant increase in collagen fiber diameter after collagen cross-linking. The cornea are increased resistance to pepsin digestion, it increases biomechanical stability. In addition to keratoconus, the indication are PMCD, ectasia, especially after LASIK, and it is used for microbial keratitis management and bullous keratopathy. In addition to other slit lamp examination and visual acuity, these are mandatory corneal topography, and documenting progression is mandatory to know whether the cornea ectasia is increasing or not. Pachymetry, ultrasonic anyway is not useful. You have to depend on the topography or antisegmentosity. Specular is optional, especially if it is a thin cornea, somebody may do specular. The standard protocol, which is named in Dresden protocol, named after the city where it started, is used to do 7 millimeter corneal epithelium debridement and using riboflavin for 30 minutes soaking. Then cornea is exposed to UVA light again another for 30 minutes. However, the limitation of the Dresden protocol is because of epithelial removal, this significant pain. It is like PRK pain. Today morning I was listening to PRK pain, how to manage PRK pain. It is similar to PRK pain, and theoretically it increases the risk of infection. Of course, we see more infection compared to PRK, and 1 hour of surgery time. And most of the patients who come in a moderate to advanced stage are not suitable. So to overcome this limitation, we have many modifications. Is transepithelial collagen cross-linking for thinner cornea. I'll describe later what are the modifications. Then accelerated collagen cross-linking, iontoporosis, and CXL plus and extra procedure. So coming to the transepithelial, which is known as epi-on. So riboflavin, because it's a high molecular weight and hydrophilic molecule, cannot penetrate intact epithelium. So we need chemicals which increase the permeability. These are the chemicals like alkonium chloride or tetracaine containing anesthetic used long before this surgery. And in comparison to Dresden protocol or conventional one, this depth of stromal demarcation line is less, which is 200 micron. Again, similarly, biomechanical rigidity also increased only 64% compared to 320%, which is just another way of deal with the thin cornea is hypoosmolar riboflavin, and transepithelial already I have discussed, and iontoporosis is another way of thin cornea. Lenticular assisted cross-linking and contact lens assisted cross-linking, these are used for thin cornea. So if you go one by one, hypoosmolar riboflavin is most commonly used for thin cornea. The osmolarity is less, and the riboflavin is used without dextran. Cornea can be increased to 36 to 110 micron with hypoosmolar riboflavin. And studies have proven that if you use and if you check the pachymetry before exposing to UVA, there is no endothelial cell loss, but make sure this is 400 micron before we expose to UVA. Then epithelium op technique, this is a contact lens. Contact lens is an inexpensive and simple procedure. It's the only thing you need is UV barriers, barrier-free soft contact lens. And at the same time, when patient's cornea is exposed to riboflavin for half an hour, contact lens is soaked in 0.1% riboflavin for 30 minutes. And then it is same as Dresden protocol. Again, the stiffening effect is less compared to conventional one. This iontophoresis is a transepithelial method. Water-soluble low molecular weight riboflavin is used, and penetration of riboflavin is increased by using low intensity current. It compared to epi-on technique, the penetration is greater and deeper penetration, and it shortens the time required for the treatment. A lenticle technique is described by Dr. Sachdev. When we remove myopic smile, the lenticle can be used, and lenticle is placed at the apex of the core. And again, that is followed the same conventional protocol, exposure for 30 minutes. And this is customized technique. It is not commonly used. It is described that you don't debride the epithelium on the apex of the core. And rest of the paracentral cornea, you remove the epithelium. As you don't remove, so the CXL effect is seen 150 micron in the area of epithelium on and 250 micron in the epithelium off area. Then accelerated collagen cross-linking. It delivers same energy as conventional protocol, but with shorter period. So main advantage is reduced treatment time, thereby theoretically again decreasing the risk of infection maybe, but most important is the reduced treatment time. So many permutation combination has been described, but most commonly used is till 10 milliwatt per 9 minutes. They again conflicting outcome compared to conventional protocol. And CXL plus is done to enhance and optimize CXL outcome. It basically improves functional vision. It can be done with conductive keratoplasty, PRK, and the corneal ring. And
Dr. Sujata, a very gentle reminder, you have 30 seconds to go.
So this is CXL plus is mainly used in cases patients are unsatisfactory with visual function and they're intolerant to contact lens. And extra, I'm not going into this, but the next speaker is going to talk on extra. It can be combined with classic PRK and SMILE. And usually the response to collagen cross-linking, corneal curvature improves, decreases, uncorrected distance visual acuity. In days, pachymetry decreases. However, after 3 months, it gets back to original. These are few of the RCT. There will be many studies, literature. This is 3-year result, which says there is a sustained improvement in Kmax, UCBA, and BSCBA. Another study which speaks about long-term result of collagen cross-linking, safe, and reduces the need of corneal transplantation. Comparison between conventional and iontophoresis. Iontophoresis works, but less than conventional protocol. Application are microbial keratitis, although it is used for microbial keratitis, but all sterile infiltrate. And corneal edema, especially the endothelial count is less, or the intensity is not checked before we expose to UVA.
We are already running late, ma'am. Yeah, so,
To conclude, it has been shown to effectively halt progression. It's easy to perform and good safety profile. There are various modifications to conventional protocol. And combined with refractive surgery, there is a reduced need of corneal transplantation after collagen cross-linking.
Thank you, Dr. Sujata.
Thank you, ma'am. Just a question. Is epithelium on a real no-no, in your opinion?
Yes.
Correct. So let's be, just because you have to mention, you mentioned, but epi-on is a definitely no-no. Am I right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I think there are other things we can do rather than epithelium on.
All right, great. So, message to everyone, just for record's sake, she has mentioned, but then epithelium on is a definite no-no with most of the people in the panel here. We can go to the next speaker, Dr. Rajesh.
Sure. The next speaker, Dr. Ritika, is unable to join, but she has nominated Dr. Raghav Malik from CFS, who will be talking about the extra procedures along with cross-linking. Dr. Raghav is there?
Not yet. Then I'll have to request you.
Okay.
So he has just joined, sir.
He's joined? Okay.
Okay.
Regarding the Epion, there is a group in the US that's showing successful results, but they are using a different formulation for the Epion technique. The riboflavin is not the same as what we use, and they claim that their riboflavin has additional factors that allows better penetration, and their long-term results seem to be comparable. So we'll just have to wait and see. But with the regular riboflavin, you cannot do cross-linking with Epion.